Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Driven Shot, a Barça podcast in collaboration with Mundo Deportivo and Blaugranagram. I'm Jamie Coles, and normally I'm joined by the one and only Omar Hawwash, but he's off on parental duties. Congratulations to him and his family on their new arrival. Wishing them all the best. I hope everyone's healthy and well and happy, if not a little bit tired. Let's dive in to the world of FC Barcelona, shall we? There's loads to talk about. We'll be talking about, obviously, the 4-1 victory over Girona at Montilivi. We've also got Champions League action coming up and a brand new shirt. It's been an exciting start to the season, so let's break it all down. First off, the match against Girona, revenge is sweet, isn't it? Revenge is sweet. We had a rough time against them last season. We lost to them both home and away, and we came back with absolute vengeance on this first match back after the international break. And there's only one name to talk about, Lamine Yamal, because what a performance he put on. Just incredible. 2 goals in the first half, which just set the tone for the full 90 minutes. I mean, I want to say it's incredible to see how he's blossoming, how he's blooming, how he's, it's all coming together for him under Hansi Flick, but it was all coming together for him under Xavi as well. It was coming together under Luis de la Fuente, of course, in the Euros, which is where he really kind of came to the fore. He's 17 years old, let's not forget. Just 17 years old, and he's already smashing expectations. We all, and when you play in the first team of Barca, we know, we've seen it. Everyone expects the most from you. But from him, we really can't expect much more. He's putting in assists when we need them. He's scoring some incredible goals, and he's just had this amazing start to the season. He's carried on that good momentum from the Euros, and we really want to hope he carries it on into Europe as well. We'll get to that. I have to admit, okay, the match against Real Valladolid was incredible. A massive win, 7-0. But then we had that 2-week international break. So we went away, and then we came back to league football. And I really sort of thought that maybe Hansi Flick would shake things up a bit. Some players have been away with their national teams, and maybe we would change a few things, but it's not broken, don't fix it, I think was the German coach's approach, because when you've got a 7-0 victory over someone like Real Valladolid, which, don't forget, they held off Real Madrid for almost an hour, why change things? And it proved the point. The proof was in the pudding on Sunday in Montilivi, because scoring 4 goals away against a team like Girona, who, okay, maybe they exceeded expectations last year, but they're in Champions League side now. They've proven what they can do, and Barca went there to Montilivi and put 4 goals past them. Ter Stegen was solid as ever. The defense was strong. Midfield was it just worked. Marc Castelló anchoring in the middle, that Pedri Olmo thing. It was incredible to watch the midfield. And I was really, really pleased with it. Dani Olmo, of course, getting that goal right after the break. Just absolutely brilliant goal. Not quite so flashy in the first half, but still he played that important role. He knows how to make a statement when it counts. And he gave us the goal, which put Barca and that cushion when you're 3 up, and you can just ease off a little bit, and you can just enjoy it a little bit. And it was just that proof of how dominant Barca are looking. Unfortunately, Dani Olmo did pick up that injury, and it looks like he'll be out for almost 4 or 5 weeks. That's a massive blow, especially as we've got Champions League fixtures coming up. We've got the Clásico in the Bernabeu in October. We'll talk about some possible replacements in a little bit, but that's a massive blow for the team, especially as he's this kind of star new signing. We shouldn't gloss over Pedri's contribution. His goal to make it 4 on the scoreboard for Barca was the icing on the cake. Fantastic assist from Castelló. These youngsters are stepping it up, and it was so cool to see Pedri celebrate. Ran over to Hansi Flick, and in the post-match interviews, Pedri said, "Yeah, I told him before that I was going to score, and I did." And then Hansi Flick said, "Oh yeah, and we said Lamine Yamal was going to score as well, and he did as well." Absolutely incredible, just incredible. Girona, of course, did get one back, denying Marc-Andre ter Stegen the clean sheet. But honestly, by that point, it was just Barca's game. And so a consolation goal for the home side. But Barca just proving they're on another level this season. Just absolutely incredible. 5 wins out of 5 in La Liga, 17 goals scored, an average of 3 goals per game. Flick's Barca is not just winning, they're entertaining. They're going out playing some great football. It's just fun to watch. And when they're just putting goals past, left, right, and center, and some lovely moves in the midfield, we're really enjoying it. And in fact, Barca are now the most prolific team in Europe's top 5 leagues. Just give that a minute. The 5 top leagues in Europe. And this is key as we're heading into the Champions League, the first match of the season against Monaco, to say that Barca have scored more goals than Paris Saint-Germain, more goals than Manchester City, more goals than Bayern Munich. It's really... and you see a lot of people like making comparisons. I was at the Camp Nou the other day talking to some fans, and you see these comparisons. People going like, yeah, well, it reminds us of the Clover era, and you're like, what? We're only 5 games in. Like, let's calm down a little bit. But the similar comparisons to like the 2017-18 season under Ernesto Valverde, a similar explosive start. History shows that when a team can start this strong, good things tend to follow, especially for Barca. I mean, it makes sense. The more goals you score, the more points you bring home, the better. And so could this be a sign of things to come? Obviously, we all hope it will be. But we're still only 5 match days in. The Champions League hasn't started yet. There's still a long way to go. Hansi Flick, of course, deserves a lot of credit. We were skeptical. We didn't know how things would go. Xavi left under weird circumstances. Hansi Flick came in, language barriers, changing the dynamic, changing the system a bit. But he's managed to improve upon his initial stint with Bayern. He had a strong start with Bayern Munich, but fell short in the 5th game. Here at Barca, he's 5 for 5. He's got the momentum. He's taken us through that awkward 2-week international break, come out the other side of it, gone to Montilivi and put 4 goals past Girona. He's accelerated the momentum. The team is buying into his philosophy. You hear them talking, and I've been a little bit, the way they've been comparing Hansi Flick and Xavi has not sat well with me. I just don't see the need for comparison, to be quite honest. It's like, we can say like we're happy with one, training's good with one, but we don't need to compare in this way. But really, like Hansi Flick, he's got the team on his side. They're all talking about how training's different. They're all talking about how their philosophy is different. They're all talking, the players are talking about how things are under Hansi Flick, and clearly he's shaken things up. And maybe that's what Barca needed. This kind of, we had like this kind of the legends that were coming kind of to the end of their period with Barca, whether it was Sergio Busquets, Sergio Roberto, of course, the last one to leave, Gerard Piqué, like, and Xavi was kind of there as the coach. He did a good job in that transitional period. Obviously, they're still going through massive reconstruction. We're still talking about like Lamine Yamal, Marc Casado, Hector for, a few years ago we were talking about Balde, he's still a youngster. Pedri, Eric Garcia, Ferran, they're all still youngsters, but we're talking about this kind of like next half generation of youngsters, these ones that are coming through now, age 16, 17, 18 now. And so there's change is happening, changes in the air. And I think this kind of change of manager in a more drastic way, there's a language thing, there's a cultural thing. He brings a whole new system with him. He's brought a whole new team of coaches with him. You can see it. You can see it in the training. He's got these assistant coaches that are filming things on iPads, and he's changing the groups and the way they train together. Ter Stegen's coming out and doing rondos. Like, the whole kind of attitude and approach is different. And I think that's kind of what Barca needed. It had to be gradual, and then all of a sudden. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. And unfortunately, maybe, there's been some sacrifices made along the way. But we're now enjoying this new era with Hansi Flick taking Barca into this kind of next stage. And so far, it's looking very strong. With success come challenges. Dani Olmo's injury is a massive setback. He's been key in this kind of advanced midfield role, this kind of attacking midfield, connecting the lines between defense and attack. And so the question is, who's going to fill that gap for the coming weeks? Because we've got some big fixtures coming up, of course, starting with Monaco. Maybe an obvious option is Rafinha. He started the season in that kind of number 10 role before moving back to the wing as Dani Olmo came in. And so Flick might consider moving him back inside, especially as we're possibly going to recover Ansu Fati, and maybe you can have him out on that wing. Ferran, of course, got sent off against Girona, so we might not see him in the Liga, but there are options on the wing. And I think, I don't know, like an Ansu Lamine Yamal on the wing with Rafinha as a number 10, that could be kind of exciting. Another possibility is obviously a bit more responsibility for Pedri, pushing him further forward. He's got a great vision. He's able to read the game. He could be a good fit for that role. And then there's also kind of the options of youngsters. Guille Fernandez, who's coming up through La Masia. We've seen him with Barça Athletic. We've seen him in the under-19s. He's played some good football. He knows La Casa. He is, as we say, he knows this Barça DNA. He's come up through La Masia. He knows a lot of this new generation of players, this new class of players. And so, he could be a not a bad option. Pablo Torre, of course, who did a lot of this kind of preseason in that role with Hansi Flick, could be an option as well. And so the youngsters are showing promise. So maybe we'll see, Hansi Flick kind of taking a bet on those as well. He's got options. He's not spoiled for choice, but he's got some options. It is a puzzle, and he'll need to solve it quickly because Champions League opener against Monaco is on Thursday. And so maybe we should focus our attention on Europe because Champions League's back. Absolutely thrilled. Very happy to see Barca kicking off the Champions League campaign against Monaco at the start, Luis. Monaco, no pushover. They've had a good start to League One. They're currently sitting at the top, near the top of the table. They've conceded just 1 goal in 4 matches. And their defense is very tight. Monaco is perhaps a bit of a worry, especially what we saw in the Gamper, in Montjuic. Let's take it a match at a time. Let's take it a step at a time. Barca's attacking prowess, Barca's attacking record so far could be tested, and the defense could be stretched. We saw it in Montjuic, but it wasn't. It was kind of still a preseason match. Can Lamine Yamal continue his form on the European stage? He's already broken records domestically and with Spain. Last season, he was the youngest player to start in a Champions League match. He got an assist. He was subbed off early in that loss to Paris Saint-Germain after Araujo's red card. Xavi obviously had to make some tactical decisions there. So Lamine Yamal's going into this campaign with a point to prove. He's proven himself on the European international stage with Spain, winning the Euros. He's proven himself, I think, pretty well last season and obviously the start of this season with Barca in La Liga. And so let's see how he does in Europe. But I think Lamine Yamal probably the one to watch on Thursday night. Monaco's coach, Adi Huda, has got them well organized and disciplined. They've got Breel Embolo, Alexander Golovin, who could cause problems if Barca are not careful. And so we'll need the defense to be strong, especially with some of the regulars out injured. Koundé, for me, is a key to all of this. Kouassi, of course, as well. So, yeah, I think anything's possible on Thursday night. Anything's possible. Opening night for both sides in the Champions League. Flick's also making some changes to the team's routines. I mentioned before, Hansi Flick is shaking things up. He's bringing in this different culture. The squad will stay overnight in Monaco after the match. Previously, typically, they kind of play the match, back to the airport, back on the plane, back to Barcelona. Instead, they're going to be staying the night in Nice. He's also adjusted the training schedules. Typically, the team would go and train at the home ground when it was away Champions League match. They'd travel there to Monaco or to Nice, which is where the team will be staying on Wednesday and Thursday night. On Wednesday and Thursday night, the team will be staying in Nice. And typically, they'd have done the training there, but they're not. They're doing the training at the Ciudad Esportiva on Wednesday, the day before the match. You're probably listening to this. They've probably already trained. But at the time of recording, They will be training on Wednesday in the Ciudad Deportiva. They'll then fly to Nice, where they'll do the press conferences and stuff ahead of the match. Um, so he's shaking things up, and this could have impact as well on players who are covering performance. He's trying to I mean, any coach has to balance that kind of sharpness with rest. So we'll see. Switching gears, a bit of positive news on the injury front. We've spoken about Dani Olmo. We're going to get to Fermín. But we mentioned last week on the last episode, Gavi has returned to training with the group. He's making big strides in his recovery. There's no set date for his return yet. But knowing that it's sooner than later, that he's on the mend, is very encouraging for us, the fans, for the team. And especially the team's going to be tested in the coming weeks. We've got injuries. We're going to need rotations. And so recovering some depth to the squad will be crucial. Speaking of, Ansu Fati also back training with the group. He could be making his return very soon. Frenkie de Jong also back in training. 5 months out, we saw him back with the group. And that's a massive boost for everyone. He's a great midfielder. He's come under a lot of stick lately because he does have one of, if not the highest salary in the club. He has been out injured a lot recently. He did decide he didn't want surgery, but it looks like he's on the home straight now. He's back to health, and his creativity and control in the midfield is going to be important. And I really hope we get to see him with Dani Olmo, with Pedri. That the Barca's midfield could be one of the most dangerous in Europe once we recover Frenkie de Jong and Gavi. And again, we just need the depth for rotation because we've got a congested fixture list ahead of us. It's there's 2-3 matches in a week. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. That said, Fermín López tried to return to training with the group today, recording Tuesday, 17th of September. Sadly, it looks like he's picked up another injury, or maybe he just hadn't recovered properly. It's not clear, but it looks like he's going to be out for a little while yet. And that's a real shame because it is another youngster that we're losing to injury. We've Marta Bernal obviously already out. So we really hope that we're able to pick up Fermín again because, like I say, we need that rotation. We need that creativity. And Fermín López is one of these players that can make a difference in these matches. He can bring something special. And we could see Fermín, being one of these future important Barca players. He's got all the potential there. So let's hope he has a quick recovery and we're able to see him back on the pitch soon. Waxing lyrical about Lamine. I just can't wait to see him in Europe. Europe is watching. We'll all be eyes on Europe. And yeah, Barca also, they've got a new shirt. It's green. It's go look at it because it's been compared to previous, this kind of green turquoisey blue third strip. I've seen the black one up close and in person on the Culés Corner, the Phoebus show. We we're giving away 2 of those shirts. And I've held them in my hands. I've seen them up close. And it's a beautiful, beautiful shirt. I'm not the world's biggest fan of football shirts, but that one is cool. It's really cool. And I liked the previous black one with the gold. But this one it's got something else to it. It's really, really nice. This new green one, in comparison, I don't dislike it. Maybe it will grow on me. And maybe seeing, it run out on the pitch, it will grow on me further. The kind of the idea behind it, a nod to women's football and women's sport and appreciation for that, I'm on board with. So we'll go for the philosophy. I'm happy with the philosophy, and we can wear a green shirt for that. I think that's fair. I think that's good. And on that note, before we wrap up, we should shout out to Aitana Bonmatí. She's renewed her contract with Barca until 2028. The number 14, arguably the best women's player in the world right now, keeping her at the club alongside the other arguable best women's player in the club right now, Alexia, of course. just keeping them both together, being able to renew that contract, keeping her for another 4 years is just peace of mind for the team, for Pere Romeo, the coach, for the player herself. Just to know that, she's safe now. She doesn't have to worry about contract renewal. She doesn't have to worry about all of that. She can just focus on the football. Just such an important player, a brilliant spokesperson for the club, for women's football, not just in Spain but around the world. And so keeping Aitana Bonmatí at the club is great news, and a nod to the project's ambition for the men's and the women's team. But to see Barca making these gestures with the shirt, the new green strip, as a nod of appreciation to women's football, to the contract renewals. Vicky, her contract's going to be the next one to be announced. To have Barca working hard to keep those players in the squad, to keep them in the roster, and to get them on these long-term contracts, I think is massive. And I think that's really important for the future of the project. That's all we've got time for today on the Driven Shot podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you subscribe. And it's been a pleasure sharing my thoughts with you. There's been a lot to talk about this week. And next week, even more so, because coming up, we've got, of course, Monaco on Thursday in the Champions League. Barça in La Liga then go on to play Villarreal on Sunday. That's at 6:30. So yeah, there's just loads. After that, it'll be then match day 7 falls on Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's just an absolutely jam-packed calendar. We've got so much football to get through, and loads to talk about. Hopefully, Omar will be back, rested or not, to give his input, because there's a lot to talk about. Congratulations to him once again on his new addition to the family. We look forward to having him back. I very much so. Thanks for listening. Let's hope for a good result against both Monaco and Villarreal. And if we don't see you before then, also against I've lost my notes. Getafe on Wednesday at 9 p.m. Wednesday 25th. 3 matches in the space of 6 days. It's a lot of football. Enjoy it all. I hope we get good results, and we'll see you next time on the Driven Shot podcast. Adeu.